Welcome. We're diving into a topic that is absolutely critical for your A-level accounting paper: ethical considerations. Getting this right isn't just about scoring top marks. It's about understanding the very heart of the accounting profession. So let's get into it.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll cover why this stuff even matters. Then, we'll break down the 5 core principles you've got to know inside and out. After that, we'll put them to the test with some real exam-style case studies. And we'll wrap up with a foolproof strategy to help you tackle any ethics question that comes your way.
All right, first things first. Why does your exam spend so much time on ethics? Well, it's simple. Without ethics, the numbers on a page, the financial statements, they're just meaningless. Ethics is the very foundation of trust that keeps our whole financial world from falling apart.
Now, you can think of the ethical framework as the official rulebook. Its entire job is to make sure that financial statements show a true and fair view of what's really going on in a company. And this isn't just for the company's sake, it's all about protecting the public interest. That's a key phrase, by the way, that examiners absolutely love to see in an answer.
And just think for a second about what happens if that rulebook gets ignored. Investors could lose everything, banks could make terrible loans, and governments could miss out on tax money that we all rely on for public services. These ethical standards are basically the firewall protecting all of us from total financial chaos.
Okay, let's get to the real meat of this topic. This is your essential toolkit. There are 5 fundamental principles that you have to commit to memory. You need to be able to apply them to any ethical problem the exam can throw at you.
Yep, there are 5 of them. You need to know their names and exactly what they mean. So let's break them down one by one.
First up is integrity. Honestly, this one is pretty simple. Just tell the truth. It means you don't manipulate profits, you don't hide losses, and you don't present information in a way that's deliberately misleading. It's the absolute bedrock of being an accountant.
Second, we have objectivity. This means your judgment has to be completely impartial. You can't let any bias, conflicts of interest, or pressure from other people cloud your decisions. So, for example, if a director is pressuring you, that's an intimidation threat. If you own shares in the company, that's a self-interest threat. Your loyalty must always be to the facts.
Third on our list is professional competence and due care. This one really has 2 parts. Competence means you have to keep your skills sharp and stay on top of all the latest accounting standards. Due care means you have to be diligent and careful with your work. No shortcuts, and definitely no guessing.
Okay, number 4, confidentiality. As an accountant, you're going to see a lot of sensitive information: profits, losses, secret future plans. This principle means you can't just go telling people about it. And even worse, you can't use it for your own personal gain, like through insider trading. That's not just unethical, it's a serious crime.
And finally, number 5. Professional behavior. You can think of this as the big umbrella principle that covers everything else. It means you have to follow the law, of course, but just as important, you can't do anything that makes the entire accounting profession look bad. Your actions reflect on everyone.
Now, this slide is a perfect revision tool. It links each principle to its main idea and, this is the important part, to the specific risk you run if you ignore it. Integrity prevents fraud. Objectivity stops manipulation. Competence avoids errors. You should definitely grab a screenshot of this one for your notes.
All right, enough theory. Now for the really important part. Let's see how these principles actually apply to the kind of scenarios you're going to face in the exam hall.
So our first case study is a real classic. It involves a director who, wants the company's accounts to look a little healthier than they actually are.
This is a textbook exam scenario. The director is creating what we call an intimidation threat, and it's a direct challenge to the accountant's professional ethics. So let's break down exactly which principles are on the line here.
Now, for a 6 or 8 mark question, the examiner doesn't just want you to list the principles. They want you to identify them, explain how they're being threatened using the details from the case, and then analyze the impact on specific stakeholders.
So here's how you structure that perfect answer. First, you'd state that integrity is breached because the accounts would be intentionally misleading. Second, you'd say objectivity is threatened because of the director's intimidation. And then for the impact, you would explain how stakeholders like shareholders and lenders would be making big decisions based on fake profits, which could lead to huge financial losses for them.
Let's move on to another really common theme, that classic conflict between making a quick profit today versus being socially responsible for the future.
Okay, pay close attention here. Notice the command word assess, and look at the marks, 12. That's your signal that the examiner wants a deep, well-structured evaluation. They're not looking for just a simple list of points.
To nail those top marks, you need a crystal clear structure. Start with the accounting treatment. Profits are too high, liabilities are too low. Then you talk about the direct impact on stakeholders. Investors are being fooled, and the local community might suffer from pollution. Next, you broaden your view to the wider social consequences, like environmental damage and a loss of public trust in businesses. And finally, you have to evaluate, weighing that short-term profit gain against the massive long-term risk to the company's reputation and legal standing.
For our last case, we're jumping into the world of auditing, where independence and objectivity are literally everything. This is a huge, huge area for ethics questions.
Now, a discuss question means you need to show a balanced argument. But don't be afraid to take a clear stance in your conclusion. Sure, there are some minor points about efficiency, but the argument against is just so much stronger. Providing consultancy creates a massive self-interest threat to the auditor's objectivity. This can completely destroy public confidence in the audit report, making it pretty much worthless.
Okay, we've gone through the principles and we've seen them in action. Let's pull everything together into a solid strategy that you can use every single time you see an ethics question on that exam paper.
You need to memorize this 5-step process. This is your formula for a top-grade answer. Step 1. Identify the principle. Step 2. Explain how it's being threatened, using details straight from the scenario. Step 3. Link the action to specific stakeholders. Step 4. Discuss the impact. And for the final step to really secure those top marks, always conclude by talking about the accountant's duty to the public interest.
And here is a fantastic sentence to have in your back pocket for those bigger, higher mark evaluation questions. It shows the examiner you're thinking critically, that you're weighing up the short term against the long term, and that you're considering things beyond the numbers like reputation. This right here is the language of evaluation.
So at the end of the day, the ultimate question your examiner is really asking is this: can you act in the public interest, even when you're under pressure? Answering that correctly in the exam isn't just about listing 5 principles. It's about showing you have the professional judgment that is the true hallmark of a great accountant. Master this, and you're not just ready for the exam, you're ready for the career that comes after it.